All right, well, I will call the council meeting to order. No one is excused today from the meeting. No one is absent. And so we have the adoption of the minutes from June 10th. Can we get a motion mover? Clarence moves. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And call for post agenda items. Matt?
Two legal items to discuss in camera today and one intermunicipal to discuss in camera.
Thank you. For out of camera, I had Dr. Van der Linde's award that I'd like to just speak to for a moment, and July 1st in Rosemary. Those two additions. Anything else? If not, could we get a motion to adopt the agenda? Ellen moves. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And we have our question period, notice of motion. I'll just defer to Susan. Is there anyone that you know of who has put forth a question?
We have 8 people viewing today, but I have no questions in the questions box today.
Okay. We can address it if one should come along. So we'll go to item 7.1, the bylaws, and go back to Maria.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It said that no microphone was detected, so I got a little bit nervous there for a second. Thank you, Madam Reeve. This is Bylaw 2015-21. It's for a road closure and lease. The purpose of the application is close the road between a portion of the northwest of 28, 2017, and the northeast of 29, 2017, and then the full section of road between the southwest of 28 and the southeast of 29, 2017. So this land is located in Division 6, approximately 13 kilometers southeast of the town of Bizano. Lands on either side of this road allowance are in the agricultural land use district, and they are portions of it are being irrigated and other portions are being used for grazing. The applicant is currently working with the EID to set up a new pivot that will encroach on the road allowance, which is the reason for the closure. Once this, if approved, then the applicant will have to enter into a lease agreement and pay the applicable lease fees. So it is recommended by staff that first reading be given to this road closure for Bylaw 2015-21 to facilitate the proposed pivot irrigation.
Thank you, Maria. Questions? Brian?
Remind me again, Maria, what the lease rate is for our road closures and leasing.
Yeah, the current lease rate is $100 per mile per year, and then we ask that the leasee pays for 10 years. So in this case, it would be a payment of $1,000, and that would cover the 10 years.
Thank you.
Pretty good deal, Councillor Dijon. Maybe that's something that we should put on a list of things to do, to take a look at those lease rates. Just to throw it out there. Okay, other questions? We have a motion. Kelly will move.
Motion to approve.
Motion for first reading. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay. Maria, do you have anything else on here that you need to address today?
No, that is it from me. Thank you.
Perfect. Have a good rest of your day.
You as well.
Thank you. All right, we'll go on to the municipal election bylaw for second and third reading. Questions, or Lane is all here if you have anything else to ask about. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion for second reading. Getting the election process in place. Hubie moves. Second reading, all in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And for third reading, Tracy moves. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. I'm thinking that Todd is still not with us, so we'll maybe skip over his item and carry on. Oh, he's back.
Sorry, I just rolled in.
Well, Todd, do you need a minute to regroup?
We're just doing ASB items.
We just are arriving in natural order on the agenda at item 8.
Awesome.
8.1. So if you're ready to go, we'll listen to you.
Yeah, fantastic. So I have a couple of relatively standard ones for us today. Me and Jolene chatted about the rural beautification program and if we thought we'd be able to run it this year. And of course, we don't know if we'll be able to do the tour, but I think we all know that we have some wonderful yards that are worthy of nomination and certainly some accolades for all the work that they do to keep them beautiful. So we thought the program would be good to go. And in the past, we've always used one council judge and one judge from the community. And we're just looking for a judge should somebody want to do that.
So do we have any volunteers? Somebody who hasn't done that? Clarence and Tracy have their hands up.
Well, in the 11 years I've been on council, I've never done it, so I thought this was my last chance. So I'll volunteer, but I'll also step back if Tracy really would like to do it.
Yes, that's great. I have done it once, and it's wonderful to be able to go out and see all the yards and everything. But if you've never done it, absolutely, you go. It's a great opportunity.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Tracy. And Anne-Marie?
For Clarence to want to do it once, but I actually was thinking we should get rid of councillors on this committee. You know, I think you should have people in place that know about, and maybe you do, Clarence, sorry, know about plants and flowers and yards. And so to have 2 former winners on that committee would maybe make more sense and leave the political side out of it. But now I feel bad about saying that. Sorry, Clarence.
Well, certainly I didn't know it was political.
Over the years, I think we have we started off. Did we always have one one councillor and one person from the community, Todd?
At least in recent years, it's certainly been that way.
Okay, Brian.
I think it's excellent the way that Todd set it up with one councillor and one community judge. We get a chance to get out and see some of the residents and people that put these lovely, and you know what, they appreciate, because I've done it twice and it is a delight. And the only thing that I'm going to warn you about, Clarence, is first of all, your wife's going to be very upset that you didn't take her along because she's a green thumb. And second of all, you're going to come home with a flood of ideas that you have no idea how to put into your own yard, because there's so many fantastic ideas out there that people use. So I like the way you've got it set it up, Todd, and I think, Clarence, you do a wonderful job.
Ellen?
The motion that Councillor Clarence Amulon be a judge for the 2021 Rural Beautification Awards.
Thanks, Ellen. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. All right, we'll move on to the Ag Service Board Conference Resolution Responses. Todd?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Molly. I think you probably all had a chance to read through them. I believe that the majority of the responses received fit the grading scheme that the provincial committee had put forward. And I don't know if we want to have discussion on any of them or if there's anything that needs to change. The only one that I thought was just a tiny bit different, I think. Sorry, just let me grab my RFP here. Yeah, the 9-21, I think we could accept that response based on the secondary communication. I believe when they did the initial grading, they didn't have that secondary communication, and that, to me, it just answers the questions a little bit better in that one. But I'm certainly more than happy to discuss them at length if anybody is interested.
Any questions for Todd? No, everybody's happy the way it is. So we are supposed to there's two options there for Todd to take action on. So would you like to recommend with that one proposed change?
Yeah, I guess that would be my recommendation. And I think from what I gathered, that would be their recommendation as well, just from the wording in their response. And I don't know that we need a motion necessarily, just direction for me to submit that grading scheme back with accepting their recommendation.
Good enough, folks? Is that your direction? Thumbs up? Yeah, I think it's good, Todd. Todd, did you have anything else?
You know, I don't think I do. I think it was pretty easy for you guys today. So thanks, Clarence, for wanting to be involved, and I'll get these resolution responses back up to them right away.
Thank you. I just have some comments about a meeting that I had on June 15th. It was a town hall meeting with the AASB Provincial Committee and one of the assistant deputy ministers, John Conrad. And I guess they're trying to maintain some communication with the Ag Service Boards, because that is a concern that apparently back in 2019, with a program review that was done, there was a recommendation, number 2, that asked the minister and ministry to enhance essential communication with the agricultural service boards to facilitate essential and stronger enduring working relationships. So they are doing 2 town halls a year with Ag Service Board chairs. The invitation came from Doug McCauley, who of course is the Ag Service Board manager with Ag and Forestry, and probably from this meeting, it was an hour long, and mainly we listened to this John Conrad, who seemed like a pretty decent guy in the business. And the concern from people on the call, and I think there were 18 Ag Service Boards represented in the South. The idea was that people are concerned that the key contacts have been taken away. So at one time, Todd, we had a key contact for Newell, as did all the other boards. And so they are now, it's down to 1 per region. So ours is Alan Afeta, is that how you say that?
FFA, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a fairly decent, informative meeting, and yeah, we can talk a little bit more about it during our committee reports as well, I guess. You're aware that those meetings are being planned, Todd?
I was probably aware at the same time as you were on that one.
Okay.
I maybe don't follow along the provincial stuff as much as I should. I know that Doug and Alan and their team do quite a bit of stuff in the background, and they send lots of emails, but I might miss 1 or 2. We get to meet Alan on July the 9th before council when we do our Ag Service Board, what do they call that, review. So when Alan comes up to visit us. But yeah, no, I'm with you, Molly. I thought it was a good enough meeting. John certainly seems like a great government guy. He totes the line, and he made us aware of why they made the changes they did, and whether we like it or not, I guess the changes were made. We hadn't been using our key contact really well. Our most recent one was Kelly Jackson, and I don't think we ever met her in the council room. So I think Alan will be good. He's very responsive. I know I've emailed him on Sundays before looking for information, and he's gotten me back to me. So he's a good contact to have for sure.
Well, that is a good test if you email a government person on a Sunday and get a response.
Yeah.
I mean, above municipal people.
Of course.
We know that all of our municipal people respond to things like that. All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you, Stu, for being late.
No worries. We'll go on to, what time is it here? No. We have 2 delegations, one at 11, which is Stuart, and one at 1:30 later. So we will go to item 9.2, which was put on the agenda by Ariana, and it is a request for decision about returning to in-person meetings. Ariana, did you want to say anything about this? Or?
I think Stuart is here and waiting in the room. If we want to go to him first.
Okay, we will. We'll keep going in order then, and go to Stuart then, if he's available for the rural pumper tender, fire engine, Duchess. Welcome, Stuart.
Good morning, Reeve and Council. Thank you very much for having me this morning. We've gone through the process of trying to tender out for a 3,000-gallon pumper tender for the Duchess Fire Department. And I'm pleased to say that our bids have come in, and they all came in, all except for one, below our budget that I had anticipated it would be, to which I was pleasantly surprised because of the way the economy is right now, trying to get materials and all that good stuff. I had sent a warning to Lane just before tender closed that I was getting words that maybe my budget would have been not quite enough. So I was very pleased to see the numbers when they came in. At the end of the day, Everybody was very, very close. Spec criteria, you know, the worst was 95%. And so really it came down to pricing, and Fort Garry Trucks had a really, really good price. At the end of the day, they had in their spec that they couldn't put a SCBA system into the captain's seat, to which we wanted to have that just for accessibility for the person sitting in that seat in putting BA on before they arrive on a scene. So at the end of the day, they told us that if we switched to a different vehicle, the International rather than the Freightliner, we would be able to accommodate the legroom that was needed, because that's why they didn't include it in their Freightliner price, was because of course they were trying to give us the best possible price, and I appreciated that. So when I went back to them and asked them about the SCBA and whether it could be put in, that was the solution to it, was to go with a little bit more of an expensive truck, which gave you know, the extra legroom that the firefighters need when they jump in the truck. Because as you know, when they jump in with all their fire gear, and they're a lot bulkier than they normally are. So I've done this whole process in consultation with Greg Witt, the fire chief, and JR, the assistant fire chief in Duchess. We sat down as soon as tenders closed last Thursday and went through all of them, and they were very happy with all of the tenders. And at the end of the day, they really left the decision up to me on which one I wanted to go with. And of course, trying to be prudent within the County of Newell and our prices and all that good stuff, I thought Fort Garry Trucks would be a good addition to our fleet. Currently, our last go around with pumper tenders, Fort Garry was the one that won the tender as well. So that just puts consistency within the County of Newell on what we have for equipment, and makes it easier for mutual aid calls and other fire department personnel using that truck. They'll know it well because we already have 3 of them in the fleet. So therefore, it's my recommendation by myself and the county fire chiefs in Duchess that council approve the purchase of one 3,000-gallon pumper tender engine vehicle for the Duchess Fire Department from Fort Garry Sales, with the addition of the extra or the different chassis, for a total cost of $400,864 coming out of the capital apparatus replacement fund. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Wayne and Tracy.
Stuart, I noticed that Westvac was 2 to 4 weeks delivery time, and Fort Garry is 56 to 60 weeks, which is just a little over a year. But why the big difference?
Well, I think the big difference was there were 4 tenders. 3 out of the 4 were 50 to 60 weeks, somewhere in that range. And Westvac was the one that was 2 to 4 weeks. The other downfall Westvac had was they listed it as a 2021 truck, not a 22 that I had requested. So putting that all together, I assumed that they had a stock truck sitting on the lot ready to go, and that's why it was 2 to 4 weeks. The allowance times to get decals and things like that on the truck, and just change a few things that we had requested. So that was my opinion on that one. Unfortunately, their cost is almost $100,000 higher than their lowest bid. So,
thanks, Stuart.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Ellen, are you still hearing a lot of feedback? Because I am not.
No, it is only when Maria speaks, actually.
Tracy?
Stuart, can you just explain what is the SCBA holding system? I'm not understanding what that is.
Yeah, not a problem. And of course, that's a fire terminology. So the air packs that the firefighters have to put on when they're fighting a fire so that they're breathing fresh air rather than the smoke is the system that goes into the truck. So instead of a regular truck seat, they actually put a seat in that actually has a hole in the backrest and a holder. So then the whole SCBA harness sits into that with the straps. So when the firefighter gets into the truck, buckles in, they can actually put their arms through the straps and start doing it up, which helps them get prepared and ready for when they arrive on a scene. So it's putting that pack that sits on our backs when we're fighting fires right into the seat and makes it easier for the firefighter to just, when he gets off the truck, get up doing the work that needs to be done.
Thank you.
Brian.
Stuart, what's going to happen to the old unit? Where does that go?
Really, really good question. There's two thought patterns that can happen there. I'm not too sure we can get a great dollar value for it. So I think I had approached when I talked about acquiring that as a county asset, maybe donating it to the I want to say Los Bravos. I know that's the wrong name. The group that goes to Mexico and donating the truck to there. Having said that, coming this December, Scandia's fire engine should be arriving, to which Scandia's engine goes over to Rolling Hills, and then we have another front mount pump truck that needs to go somewhere. So, and if I were to say between the two trucks, which one's in better shape, the one in Rolling Hills is in better shape. And if we were to donate something to this group, maybe we want to put our best foot forward and maybe donate that and try and sell the other one. Honestly, I don't think we're going to get any more than probably $35,000 to $5,000 for that front mount pumper when it comes available. And I think that's for both of them. It's just because of the age of them, and they're a truck that's just not used anymore. We don't use front mount pumpers anymore. So I don't think it's something that's going to be everybody wants. So we're not going to get a great price for either one of them. So the decision on either truck, and we had said Duchess's would probably go to Mexico, but we can make that decision, I guess, when the time comes. So.
Los Amigos? Is that
I think that's what it is. Yeah, Amigos. Bravos is a gang, and I don't want to.
Big difference.
Yes,
all right.
Huge difference.
We need to.
I see Wayne with his hand up there.
Thank you, Stuart. Wayne.
Well, Stuart, why can't we send them both down there? Is it cost us money to donate these? I mean, outside of the trucks.
No, they would be very, very happy if we actually. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there. Yes, they would be very happy if we donated both of them, and there is no dollar value cost to us to give it to them. Yeah. So, yeah.
But also, Molly, I'll make the motion to accept this tender as put forward.
Thank you, Wayne. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, we're at item 9.2, the return to in-person meetings. Ariana?
Yes, now I'll talk to you. Yeah, we're coming to the end of things. I believe all restrictions are to be lifted as of July 1st next week. So I think it's a good time to talk about getting back together in person.
Yes, and today it's good that Anne-Marie and Brian and Lionel are in the office to sort of get a start on it, because there could be a few changes. Anne-Marie.
I was wondering if we could leave the option open that the public could always join virtually. it's so much easier for people not to have to drive into town, but just phone in or with life size. And if we just leave that option open forever.
That could be open to the public and to council. Is that what you're thinking, Anne-Marie?
Well, to council probably too, but I was thinking more to public, how much easier it is for them to be able to do that.
Yeah. Certainly there might come a time where a councillor can, due to weather or something, can't make it. It'd be easier. Ariana?
Yeah, I talked to Steve Little from IT, and maybe Roberta could weigh in on this. The options there, it's a good idea for openness and transparency to allow people to connect remotely, and it's convenient. Like even continuing the live stream so they can watch, and also allowing people to connect. I believe Steve said they need about a week's notice to get everything set up in there, and you just have to make sure you're using your microphones the way you're supposed to, and I think it should work.
So Ariana, that would be live stream and the ability to tie in virtually.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So any other questions, Council? Lionel?
Not a question, just a comment that, you know, even for councillors to be able to function remotely, there are times when, you know, you may have the sniffles or something that you don't want to spread around to your compatriots, that it might be nice to be able to just stay home.
Yeah, good point, Lionel. So our next meeting is, what is it, July something or other? Ariana, is that a heads up timeline? Brian? Do we have budget before council?
Yeah, I was just going to add that I think July 5th is our first budget meeting, and we generally have that open to the public also. So I was just wondering if that should be included in whatever dates you have, Ariana. So.
Ariana, what were you thinking of from a strategic point of view for IT to get organized? What date should we be aiming for?
I mean, there's 2 weeks between the council meetings. You said 1 week. Roberta could probably provide more information. I don't know what their schedule is like right now. Yeah, it might take some. I think they just have to turn the camera around and make sure everything works properly. But I'll let Roberta answer this one. Thank you.
Oh, there's Roberta. Perfect.
Ariana. I'm glad you already talked to Steve. That's good. I was just sending him an email to give him a heads up. So really appreciate that, Ariana. So we can confirm with Steve. I think that meeting is July 5th is the budget preliminary meeting. We can certainly work towards that date. And if we run into any issues, we can just give everybody a heads up if that works.
That sounds great. And that would be a good meeting to do that, because budget is always, you get to see lots of stuff, and yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. And if it doesn't work, then maybe for the council in a few days from then. So that's good, Ariana. And everyone else good? No other comments, thoughts, questions? Don't see any. So we will move on to Councillor payment checks. Questions on that, or a motion to approve or accept? Kelly?
Motion to accept if you're ready for that.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Requests for functions of council. Tracy.
Yes, I was just wondering through joint services. I am on the subcommittee to look into the pathway project, and I'm just wondering if that is considered a function of council.
I would consider it a function of council because it's a subcommittee of joint services. Fair enough? Yes, I see thumbs up. The other
Okay,
thing
perfect. Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to check. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good, Tracy. Good always to ask ahead of time. The other thing I would like to make sure that people who, like the three of you who are in the office today, should make sure you put in a charge for your mileage and time, because I have gone in a number of times more recently. And I think it's important to visit with staff and for council to see one another and for council to see staff as well. So make sure you're charging for the times that you have done that. Any other thing else? Questions on that one? Okay. Brian.
I think we just went one ahead. We hadn't done the check register yet.
Oh, you're right. There we go. Payment register for council. Questions on that? Or a motion to accept? Brian?
I'll make the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. All right, going on to municipal services business. Mark, are you around?
I am here.
Awesome. First
Am I
on
ready?
the list.
Am I ready? No, that's a different question, but you know.
Oh.
Yes, I'm ready. Road
Start
tours,
off.
what you're looking at, right?
Yep.
So I'm not gonna lie, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. This RFD was before council last year practically, just updated some dates, didn't spend too much time on it. Really curious as to what council would like to do. It is an election year, and if council is interested in conducting a road tour similar to what we did previously in 2019, we will do our absolute best to put together the best road tour we can for councillors and any invited guests that you would like to bring. If this is something that council feels is not necessary, being an election year, and maybe it's something we plan more following election, then administration's really open to whatever council's preference is on this matter. But sticking with history and having road tours when they were possible, we thought we'd bring this back before council for your consideration.
All right, thanks, Mark. Thoughts? Tracy, Lionel.
Yeah, I thought the year that we did it with invited guests from the other municipalities worked out really great. It was a great way to build relationships, but also to show them some of the components in our county that they otherwise maybe wouldn't know about. And I think it just helps build for further discussion. So I would like to recommend that we go that route.
Thanks, Tracy. Lionel.
Yeah, I agree with Tracy, but also I think even for us to get together and do one tour on our new pavement projects that we did the last 3 years or whatever it was, the two secondary highways, I think that would be a kind of a highlight for myself, for us to go on a tour on those new projects. That was some of the bigger things that we've done in our time on council, and maybe we should go pat ourselves on the back for a good job done.
So question mark, your suggestion was that, like, we planned a road tour, well, we did one in 2019, and it was just sort of a certain section of the county because the county's too large, we know that. And so the next one would be in the northeast. So Lionel, would that fit? That would certainly fall into our most recent work with paving.
Yes, that'd be great. Absolutely.
So that's what you were thinking. Other thoughts, Anne-Marie?
I did really enjoy that road tour in 2019 also. I'm just wondering if we're too late for budget, because road tours would maybe help us when we talk about budget and work that needs to be done on roads, although, you know, it's more up to staff than to us. And the second part is, then would you do another one in the spring with the new council to get them familiar with the roads in our whole region?
And I guess that will be up to that group and as to what they would like to see. Our budget planning is flexible enough. I think that nothing is definite till past this September date. So if there's something that needed to be put into it, I think that would still work. Would it not, Matt? Yes, he's shaking his head. Yeah, I personally believe it was a good day when we did it, and inviting our municipal partners, I think most of them had enjoyed it certainly as much as we did, or even more. Some of the places that they went to. Clarence?
I'd like to move option number 1, please.
All right, that is to do council and invited municipal guests on a tour in mid-September. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Clarence, for moving that along. And now we're at the Rural Water Phase 2 feasibility study. That's for Jeff, right? Hi, Jeff.
Morning, everybody. You can see and hear me. Thank you very much, Shreve Douglas.
Yeah, you bet.
Before you, what you have is a very high level RFD based on some of the findings that are in the Phase 2 Rural Water Feasibility Study. Council gave direction to staff in the fall of 2020 to investigate and solicit some engineering assistance to take a look at the cost and overall feasibility of connecting the remaining unconnected properties, businesses, homes, so on and so forth in the county to the rural water system. County went out and we retained MPA Engineering, mainly based on their previous experience with the project and their knowledge of the county, to entertain this project. Currently, we have 1,544 services, and we operate 6 registrations under Alberta Environment to service the existing 1,544 people in the county. And you can see under the discussion the number of existing services that exist on each of those registrations. The registrations in the outset of the project were loosely based on the takeoff locations of the regional transmission main, not exactly the 11 contracts that we undertook in the construction phase of the project. So that's why you see, Rainier, Scandia, Rolling Hills grouped together, Bizano, Rosemary, Gem grouped together, because they're taken off of the regional transmission main in the same locations. So an additional 732 locations, so we're identified to be connected to the rural water system. And if you go look under the costs and funding sources, you will see under each of the registrations how many new services would be required to connect everybody. You notice Bizano, Rosemary, and Gem is 205 services at the highest, and Brooks West registration has 63. unconnected services in it. So that would be the lowest. If you look at that table down on the bottom line in the green, where the totals are, you'll see 732 additional services overall at an estimated cost of just over $15 million. That works out to an average cost per service of just under $21,000. We will recall that previous estimates back in, well, maybe we won't recall, I had to look it up, but previous estimates back in 2010, 2009, 2010 time at the full build out of the system were roughly $28,000 per service. We ended up at the end of the County of No Water project that the costs were closer to $35,000 per service. So, you know, things are adding up based on the cost per service and the existing infrastructure that has been constructed, you know, assuming a relatively similar number of crossings and so on and so forth. There are some other things in the report to consider. Yeah, it is included on this chart. There are some services that are, you know, a significant distance away from the main line and don't have any other service connections on them. So the last column there, just for information, is kind of the maximum service cost per contract. You can see in the Patricia Duchess area, there is one service that is quite a distance outside of the existing services, and that would come in at a cost of almost $250,000 to get to that location. But basically, I know we have pre-budget meeting coming up, and this is a rather large budget discussion, but you know, I did promise as soon as the report was done and finalized and we had the tweaks and comments back to MPE and they reviewed and revised, that we would get it off to council, get the report attached so anybody could take a look at that wanted to. Above and beyond that, I guess the biggest thing to say is that, you know, it is completely feasible based on the existing system to service the remaining properties in the county. There is not a lot of threat or risk that we're going to run to locations where people will run out of, you know, the pressure range required to provide service. There are very minor upgrades in the report, I think in 2 locations, and that's more so to minimize that risk. You know, with the rural water system, we want to go to a design standard, obviously, but we also need to keep in mind the cost and understand that there are small, medium, and large amounts of risk based on the pressures received at the end of the line, and that's directly based on how many people are taking water from the line at one time, how many of the hamlets are filling at the same time, if the village and towns are filling at the same time. So very, very low risk with servicing the additional 732 parcels, in my opinion, as well as in MPE's opinion. And that's about it. I put the RFD in here and again the report out to maybe solicit a little bit of discussion, or if, you know, I have a few options there. I didn't really recommend any. If we want to defer it to budget time, if we want to make any amendments to policy going forward, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Jeff. Questions? Brian and Wayne?
First question is to Matt. I think I know the answer, but when is our debenture paid off for the initial phase of our rollout? And then I have some other questions after that.
2023.
Thank you, Matt. So Jeff, how are you envisioning dealing with landowners who currently are on the system, have allowed their land to be used, you know, fully compliant with it, and now we have to go in to access their property to hook up others? Like, have you facilitated, or have you got some thoughts as far as how we approach those landowners, because we need their properties in order to tie into somebody that's wanting to sign up. This is assuming that we go forward with this project.
Yeah, I have given some consideration and thought to that, and my thoughts keep coming back to, you know, with phase two, there's a lot of different considerations we're going to have to take into account, and that's definitely one is getting back into some of these people's lands. The pricing and the study is based on the same scenario that we dealt with phase one, and that would be, you know, no payment, no registered easements, blanket easements only. The costs indicated in here do include engineering and the same assistance we received last time with the land acquisition. However, I do understand that there may be people that have signed up before, and we've provided a service that may not be willing to continue to sign up and continue to donate and give up that land for alignments. In the initial phase, we did have a pretty tight policy that, you know, we would not service their parcel if they wouldn't grant us access to the land and to get to the places, and you know, that resonated, and we did not service a few locations where we were unable to come to an agreement to access their lands. As far as convincing those people and talking to those people, our existing easement that we have in place on those lands is solely for the installation, maintenance, repair, upgrade, so on and so forth of the existing system. It does not include any lines, and that was a pretty specific term in our easement agreement at the beginning, that you know, it doesn't give us full-blown right to come in and install new alignments and so on and so forth. It would be surrounding the existing line that was in. So that is definitely you know, one thing that may cause some hesitancy and maybe some wrenches in a project like this. But, you know, on the other hand, I do believe that, you know, the people that have been using this water, the 1,544 locations or 1,200, whatever, are hooked up now and have been using this water, they've recognized the benefit of this water system. And not only have they recognized it, that the reason we're talking about this and we're getting so much interest from additional people that were initially against the install, those are the people that are recognizing now how fortunate the people that have the water system are. So, you know, I would hope that the people that signed up and signed those easements in the outset of the first project have you know, some of the same thoughts and you know, community sense that, you know, this is a great thing, and then we do need to get it out and expand the network in the county. I guess also, you know, there were some issues during construction, obviously, with a project this big, that there was, but I'm not sure that we really, and maybe I'll be told I'm wrong here, I'm not sure that we really put a real sour taste in anyone's mouth that got back to me, you know what I mean? And if we did put a sour taste in somebody's mouth and it didn't get back to me, then I'm not sure, but I think people might be receptive to this, but I may be wrong.
Other questions or comments? Anne-Marie?
Jeff or Matt, any chance of getting a grant for this phase or part of the phase?
I think it's definitely something we want to look into. Whether you're going to get a water grant specific for it, or you look at allocating your future MSI allocations and what that translates into for the local government fiscal framework that it's supposed to turn into. We don't know exactly what those dollar amounts are going to look like, but there's some options. You could even look at allocating your federal gas tax amounts towards it. We certainly have the debt capacity available to fund something like that. So I think there's a number of options that are available to us, and we'll definitely look at the grant side of it.
So Lionel and Wayne.
Well, I think we all recognize the huge benefit of this project, of the first phase of the project. And the second phase is, I think a lot of the people that will be affected in the second phase are disappointed they missed out on the first. So I think we need to look at all the positive aspects of it and not just look at the complications that may arise. We can deal with those as they come forward, but look at it as if we're moving ahead, because I do believe it's a very positive project that we need to finish.
Wayne?
I agree with Lionel on that. I talked to a neighbor last night. I just mentioned that we're looking at this again, and he was all over it. He really wants to get it going because he actually signed up his home place, but now his son has got a place and he wants to get him signed up. So yeah, I think this is something we should really proceed with, and look, it's going to be, do it carefully, but we've got to, I think we have to move forward with it.
So did you want to, oh, Jeff, sorry, and Ellen?
Just to follow up on some of Councillor Hammergren's comments, there is, and we are getting, I think I put a bit of it in the RFD, we are getting a lot of interest. I am doing a boatload of quotes for people, soliciting contractors to give prices, and we are actually hooking up very few people because of the cost of it. You know, the $7,700, if you're right beside the line and maybe it's in front of your property, maybe it's just getting under a road, and you know, it can be maybe palatable, but as soon as you get a little bit of distance away from that line, you know, we're talking people paying that $25,000, $35,000, $45,000 to get connected, and the further you get away from that line, it adds up really quickly. So a lot of the feedback that I receive is there is a lot of interest in it as well. It's just cost prohibitive a lot of times.
Ellen?
The estimated cost of approximately $15,150,000, does that include any requirement for the landowner? You know, it used to be $1,000, you know, when a lot of people signed up. Initially, I believe it was $7,000, but does that cost, estimated cost, include any of those kind of payments at all?
No, so this is only the cost to perform the project, the engineering, the land securement, and the construction and commissioning of the project. So to talk about how we're going to fund this, that's another interesting conversation for sure, if we were to decide to go forward, and what the landowner contribution might look like, and so on and so forth, and you know, different things to consider, the maximum service costs, and so on and so forth as well. So a funding model for this is definitely a long discussion.
Tracy?
This question's for Matt. What is the balance owing on our debenture from the first phase? I know you said it's paid off in 2025.
Yeah, give me just one moment here and I can pop that up for you.
It's 2023, I think.
Yeah, the very last payment is 2022, so we're free and clear, no payments in 2023. So the balance will be fully paid off there. Just bear with me.
while Matt's looking that up, today Jeff has put some options in front of us, but I think if we gave instruction that we're going to talk about this more during our budget meeting, it might be make more sense than trying to go with any other option today, because if we remove the $7,700, are we going to replace it with something else? And so I think putting it on the budget meeting and giving staff a chance to look at some of these things might be the best option. Just my thoughts. Matt, did you get a number?
$4.8 million at the end of December 2020 is what's left owing.
At the end of 2020, you said that was.
That's right.
Okay. Tracy?
So just to kind of follow up, would it be possible if staff, or Matt, I guess this would be probably be you, would it be possible to look into what a debenture on that 15 million would be, and sort of what I guess terms or how long, or just and then we can look at it during our budget meeting?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think between now and the budget planning meeting, I'll look at the grant programs that are currently available, what our MSI allocation is that is available. We did just receive the last $500,000 that the province owed us for the first phase of the project. So we've finally collected on that after all these years. So there is a little bit of MSI that we could allocate. We'll throw some options and get you thinking at the budget planning meeting.
That sounds good. I'm glad we got that $500,000. We wondered if we ever would. Wayne?
Now, I don't know if we need this, but I'll make a motion for option number 1.
All in favor of that, recommending that option? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Wayne, and thank you, Jeff, and great information to get. Okay, we'll leave that one and go on to the proposed dust abatement county paid program. Terry is here for this one.
I'm here. Just a really quick one. Good morning, Council. Thank you. I guess what we did is, back a couple months ago, we approved the county paid dust abatement program. Basically, I left it unchanged from last year, so everything was looking pretty good. There is one location that it did bother me a little bit, and I think I just kind of sort of forgot about it, or just didn't pay enough attention on it anyway. So it is a location. Most of you will probably be fairly familiar with it. It's the access road off the Duchess Highway that goes into Evergreen or Service and Bow Valley Vet. It's a short section of road, about 180 meters. And I was just proposing that we put calcium on it off the Duchess Highway, the 873, and do up the intersection to where everybody turns into those two businesses. Very, very busy businesses, Service being John Deere, lots of traffic in there. And then, of course, the Bow Valley Clinic there. I think he's kind of getting upset because he's probably losing business, because I think by the time the washboard and people bringing in anything that's due for babies gets shaken out on that road. So we do grade that road quite frequently, like weekly. A lot of questions, concerns. Lionel's out on there. He'll confirm with that road too. So we did pull that whole road off a couple of years ago. Did go last year, I think, with the residual there. It kind of helped us out a bit, but it's a really tough road to maintain and keep the local businesses there happy. It does kind of fall into our current non-residential program. So anything that operations identifies it's rough or needs a lot of frequent grading there, we try to add it on to our county paid list, so we can put some product down there and help us out a bit there with maintenance. So I have my options there. I just put forward there that we approved that 180 meters on Range Road 192 off of Highway 873 to the Evergreen subdivision to be added to this year's dust abatement program, county paid.
Lionel and Hubie?
Maybe while we're there, would it maybe be prudent to go a little bit south into that subdivision also? Because a lot of the traffic does go further than service equipment. I don't know, that's just a thought.
I can do, Lionel, and maybe just go past the Bow Valley entrance a bit. We can grade it up and certainly can apply some more product down in there. So yeah, we can consider that. Yeah.
There was somebody, Tracy. Oh, Hubie was first. Sorry, Hubie, Tracy, Kelly.
That's just what I was thinking. We should go a little farther south to keep the dust down in those areas. Had the same thoughts.
Tracy?
I was just curious, what are we looking at for cost, Terry, on it? Like what would be our cost to do that? I think it's a good idea to do. I'm just wondering cost-wise.
430 times 180. Well, it would be 200, under $1,000. So, and also with the Evergreen there, we do have a tender out. Well, actually, I think it closes today. I'm going to go into Evergreen there and also do a little bit of ditching improvements and improve the bulb around the corner there too. So maybe once I'm done with that work in there, we could. The road's going to get a little bit straightened out, and it's an older subdivision, so nothing was quite put right on to where it should be. So we're going to come in there and improve the drainage in there, put in some new culverts. Once I'm done in there, then we can come back in there and give that extra little shot past Bow Valley there, so keep the dust down for them as well too. So,
thanks, Terry.
So if I may,
yes.
Sorry, just if I may, then you would spend quite a bit more upgrading, like grading down there than the $1,000, right? Like if you're there every week, that's quite the significant expense.
It is. I mean, probably not the expense of doing the grading, but it's just that when Darren's out there grading, our grader operator's out there grading, it's always a trip out there once every week or two, and he gets off a rotation. I don't like it when our grader you spend more time chasing this stuff than actually maintaining your operation. So definitely a lot more travel time involved with that too. And then I know if you talk to anybody, there's lots of frustration because you can grade it within 3-4 days, or the washboard it does get really bad there, and it's the frustration with ratepayers and farmers and people that use that area and access it quite a bit. So
thanks, Terry. Kelly and Ellen.
So my question is around the road in front of adjacent to Bow Valley. It's a busy road. It's a dusty road. So how do we reconcile that with Bow Valley Veterinary Clinic, that they're not receiving dust abatement and road protection?
They will be.
Like right now, Kelly, because there's are moving forward.
Yeah, well, moving forward, like you're not proposing any dust abatement on the north side of Bow Valley, correct?
No, just up to the intersection and past, and Councillor Just, like we'll move past their driveway going south.
So I'm talking about the road TR 192 going east and west past the business.
So what if it's dust We could put it down. I mean, our policy we read down for maintenance on roads, right? So where we require additional regular maintenance. So I guess if Bow Valley is worried about the dust, they're more than welcome to apply and put calcium on that stretch of road to control the dust, and they can apply through the non or the residential or the commercial one like that, right?
Thank you.
That makes sense, Kelly? Yeah. Yeah.
Because that stretch after the turn would not be as heavily used.
There is traffic there. There's definitely traffic around. It's a road close to Brooks, and they do have a lot of traffic in there. And I mean, we can go farther east of there too. And there's a resident up there that has concerns about dust too. But they have the ability to apply for dust. Everybody has the ability to apply for it and get calcium applied on their property or adjacent to the property to control dust, right? This here, as far as the policy, we're more worried about operations for us to minimize grading and frequency of grading.
Which was part of the changes that we made to reduce our county paid for stuff. Okay, Ellen is next, I believe, and then Mark and Tracy.
Yeah, my question is this right now, just for clarification, Terry. Do we not currently put dust abatement on 50 meters of a paved highway, and also have Bow Valley and Evergreen Implements, these businesses, are they currently paying for their frontage part for dust abatement?
So, Alan, Bow Valley did apply for calcium out there right now, and we did apply it down for them. So he did pay for it. He did not pay for anything past his property. So their concern was the condition of the road, because people would come in there, and it was just a concern, the rough road at that. So the calcium is down there. They came in and paid for it. And his concern was just to condition the road up to their business. He did talk to service as well too, and I don't know if they had anything going on there, but that was their concern too. I don't think he had any concerns about dust beyond his place. Otherwise, he probably would have paid for that too. So it's just the road condition. It's the washboard. Lots and lots of traffic through there. So if they have concerns after that, they're more than welcome to apply for it. But we're just after the washboard and a busy road.
So just to clarify, so there is the 50 meters then when you turn off the Duchess Highway to go into that towards Evergreen Implements and Bow Valley, and did Evergreen Implements also acquire dust abatement for their frontage as well?
No, they did not. No, Bow Valley paid for it all.
Mark and Tracy.
I just want to reiterate what Terry said. We as a department had suggested that we pull that dust abatement off. The reason why this is before you today is because Bow Valley contacted the department expressing their concerns for the condition of the road for their customers, which was why they applied to have the dust abatement put down on the north side of Evergreen Implements or the service building. They did not take it further east across in front of their facility. They were only concerned about that stretch leading up to the intersection to the south to get their customers to their building. I appreciate that effort. I think that kind of shows a little bit that the onus is more on us because it's road condition that's dictating it. The complaint was not about the dust, it was about the potholing, the washboard, and the condition of the road. That indicates frequency of grading to me, and that's why we're bringing this forward to you today.
Thanks, Mark. Tracy and Wayne and Kelly.
So Terry, you said you're going to go in and do some sort of ditch repair work and whatnot. Have you considered the possibility of paving some of that stretch off of the Duchess Highway, or chip sealing, and how would that kind of fit in, or do you get up into where you have to pave the whole road to wherever? But just wondering then your ongoing maintenance costs for that short spell, it would be paved. So I don't know, just some feedback on that if you could.
And Mark will help me out with this one. And we've talked about this. We have a lot of roads, particularly around Brooks. We do have a short list, and I imagine this has happened a few times at with Council and Mark and Jeff during paving plans and paving roads that need to be paved. The best thing I can offer here is, Mark, we're as a department, we're familiar with roads there that would be nice to have paved around Brooks. Lot of industrial subdivisions, short sections of roads. I don't know if we're going to engage in any paving discussions in the next 6-8 months. I'll let Mark cover that one.
I think we've discussed this road numerous times in the past as well. We've actually had ratepayers bring those concerns further from more easterly than just this subdivision. I have never heard anything from former Evergreen implement owners. I have never heard anything from service, and I've never heard anything personally from Bow Valley. That subdivision is not fully built out. There are still some vacant lots in there, but I really think that comes into question as to what we're going to be doing with all of the industrial subdivisions in and around Brooks. We've done some improvements in and around Martin Industrial because that one was getting beat down probably even more than this one because that is fully developed. We could come up with a number of things, but it comes back to the competing priorities of what council has on the paving plan. And there's a number of other projects that have been identified in the past too that have not made the paving plan list for council, right? So really, council has made the decisions on the paving plan. We've discussed these matters in the past as they've risen, and they have never made the grade. As part of the annual budgeting process, we present the paving plan to council every year. Matt, sorry, I'm going to drag you into this one as well. I don't believe we have funding in the paving plan until 2026, I think is when we creep up to the next project. No? Chime in.
Now that we're back over $70 for a barrel of oil, we might be able to have a different conversation this year than we had last year. As a reminder, we pulled everything off the new pavement plan for the next 20 years as our final 2021 budget scenario. I mean, the plan's there, but there's no dollars allocated to anything for at least 20 years. We've had the 3-year pause on the assessment model changes. You know, we're still waiting for that conversation to be fully finished with our minister. So there is some uncertainty there. The only items that we have funded for pavement would be the overlays coming up. So taking care of what we've already got. We don't have anything new slated to go down in the next 20-year window.
Thanks, Mark and Matt. And we did briefly talk about that road when we had to figure out how we were going to spend that incentive money from the government when we decided to go south from Bow Slope, and that didn't work out too well. But we did briefly pause on the service equipment area, and people weren't into it that day. So I remember it because that was my suggestion. You always remember the things that you got rejected about. Okay, Tracy, Wayne, and Kelly.
No, I'm finished. Thanks.
Perfect. Wayne?
I'm going to move option 2 with the amendment being that we'll use dust abatement past the two entranceways of Evergreen and Bow Valley, because this is straight going to save the county some money. We don't have to run back and forth with the grader to fix that road. So this is the only reason I'm going for it. So I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. Kelly, you were still on my list.
I was willing to make a motion and I can get on board with that motion.
Perfect. Lionel?
To make a small amendment to that motion and not go south off the 192. Because we're going on to into a subdivision road. That's not a county road. And so let's just stay on the county road with this. I would agree with doing the county portion of it, but not into the subdivision. I've changed my thinking on that.
That is a county maintained subdivision road, Councillor Jess.
Well, then I'll retract my statement. Sorry.
So we're changing it. You know, I think that we should leave this one up to our staff who are involved. They're looking at some drainage. They're looking at making this better for everybody involved. And if they go off this motion just a little bit, it's not going to be anything we'd even know about probably. So Wayne has moved the motion as it stands. Wayne, is that what you said, or was it to cover? It was to cover the two to the end of the Bow Valley, wasn't it, and the service road into their.
Yeah, that's what the motion was. But again, let the staff make decisions as they come up with too. Also.
Yeah. All right. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thanks, Terry. And just for clarification, this is the sort of thing that will come up as you go forward with these with the policies, with the residential and non-residential stuff into the future, I would think, as people approach us. Maybe others will be coming to us. Thanks, Terry, for your work on this.
Thank you.
And we will go on to committee reports. And there is a couple of reports there. Were there any other committee reports? Kelly.
I submitted this morning, so it's very late. I'll just read it as presented to Ariana. New library report, annual reporting for the 4 member libraries, Alcona, Rolling Hills, Tilly, and Gem, has been filed with Public Library Services branches as required. Newell Library approved the request from Tilly Library Society to move out of the Tilly School and into the Senior Center. A donation of 50% of age-appropriate materials will be made to Grassland School Division for the new Tilly School Library from the Tilly collection. With the move, the loss of SuperNet will be noticed. Technology in libraries is provided by Public Library Services branch at a cost of approximately $550 per month. The business connection through TELUS going forward, the cost of insurance, telephone, and rent will all be added to expenses for Tilly Library Society to cover moving forward. There will be changes there in Tilly. All other Newell libraries are open for in-person visits. Tilly Library is now closed. Summer planning at some libraries is underway. Check into your library for services over the summer months. From the Shortgrass Library System, the report, personnel are working with Tilley Library volunteers to prepare books for donation to Grasslands, Tilley New School. Also advising volunteers on internet connection requirements for best service delivery moving forward without the SuperNet. Trustees and library managers recently completed a CEO performance appraisal. Trustees approved the replacement of 8 member library firewalls at a cost of just over $10,000. Client services librarian is in communication with member libraries providing support for summer programming. And Irvine Library recently announced they are building a new facility. And that is my library report this month.
Any questions for Kelly, Clarence?
I'd just like to make a comment. You know, I watched this library thing evolve over the years and how hard it was to try and not duplicate services in different communities, and how everybody tried to work very hard together and get where the biggest use of the libraries were and into the schools. And I think it's a huge move backwards in part of the Tilley community to do what they have done, and very counterproductive. And I don't know how you stop those types of things from happening, but it's to me is really the wrong decision. And that's just my comment.
Thanks, Clarence. Alan and Hubie?
Hubie, go ahead first. I'm sure you are going to speak about the library. Go ahead.
Thank you. So Kelly, did they give there any reasons why they wanted to do it this way? I can't see why they want to do this.
Yeah. So the volunteers, the majority of them are new to the board. They did not follow protocols or understand the relationship with Newell Library Board. They put the cart before the horse. They severed agreements that they didn't have the ability to sever. But in the end, they are the volunteers that operate the library, and we as Newell Library Board chose to support them in their decision. One of the major, in fact, the major reason was that they were going from 166 square feet or meters, not sure which, down to 80 square meters or feet. So approximately half the size in the new library. And the new library in the new Tilley School would not have 4 walls and a door. It is an open concept library, similar possibly to Alcoma. It is also what Grasslands tells us right-sized for the school population. So there is no arguing with Grasslands. Grasslands gets their floor plan from you know, higher up as well, based on right sizing for the population. And the board could not see that concept unfolding and holding all the history and all the books that they presently have. And if it had been Newell Library's option, I think we probably would have asked them to try it for a year or 6 months, you know, and see where it happens, where it lands. But we weren't given that option. the volunteers took matters into their hands and made their decisions. They are going to have to do some fundraising into the future, I suspect, based on these additional costs. They do have a sizable bank account going into the move, so they will be fine in the short term.
Thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.
I just feel they might regret this move. Yeah.
So there will be increased costs in this system, obviously, and it is unfortunate with the duplication of services, you know, in a small community. Yeah.
On the positive side, and there's always the flip sides to everything, right? Access to libraries is much freer when they're in a standalone building. Especially in the old Tilly School where there was stairs going down to it. So, but into the new Tilly School, the access wouldn't be an issue. There is more availability for different programming, and they're out from under Grassland's decision making. But in the end, it's all about service delivery, and that's what Newell Library came to, was the fact that we still want a library in Tilly, and we still want volunteers to operate it, or close to volunteers. Tilly Library operates a little bit different in that they pay their manager there. So they also have that additional cost. Anyway, there are a few upsides, but I pointed out some of the hurdles going forward for sure.
Thanks, Kelly, for that, and I guess we have to hope it works well for them. Okay, Ellen, you were moving on to a different topic, I believe.
Yes, just I know the report is on the agenda that I submitted, but a few additional items came up since our last NRTA meeting for the summer. Just a few things I'd like to mention. Farmers Market is going to be on Thursdays till 7 p.m., but July and August will not be in Veterans Park, but on First Street downtown. You have read that. The museum will get Wi-Fi in their outdoor buildings as well. They are currently open. They are going to have school tours now. They are going to have a summer camp in July, maybe one in August. They will also participate in the farmers market with a booth, I believe. They're going to be in the craft show at the Show and Shine on September the 11th. Good news about Bazzano. The council has changed their decision to open the pool, and it will be open on July the 1st. Obviously, very good news for the kids. The hot tub will not be open due to lack of staff, I understand. They have planned a disc golf as well, but it's going to be a little bit different. The baskets are going to be placed on empty lots throughout the town. So it's just a little bit of a different version. That is the plan. Now, the Duchess has canceled their Duchess Days and their 100th centennial celebration. They have a village market now in the Duchess Hall. They have vendors. They're open 3 to 4 days a week. I think you can find the schedule on Facebook. There's also a second-hand store located in the Duchess Hall, and the entrance is from the south end. They're still working on the Main Street beautification, but I went there just a few days ago, and it looked very finished to me. They've got beautiful benches, old-fashioned lanterns for street lights. They have beautiful planters. It looks like a new place. Quickly, Brooks, again, they have the beer and wine in their parks. They have the show and shine street rod in downtown, again with food trucks and farmers market on September the 11th. You may have read this. The Heritage Inn and Canalta hotels, they increased their DMF percentage from 1% to 2%. They decided, the hotels decided to send their extra percentage to NRTA instead of the Canadian Badlands, which has, taken a step back. Kinbrook Island is very busy. They have already been had to send tourists away. There's rentals available and sales for the Lake Newell Resort Marina. You can rent floaties, kayaks. You can also buy some accessories for boating. They have new management. Signs for the scenic drive between Dinosaur Provincial Park and the Tyrrell Museum in Drumheller will be placed around mid-July. Then the NRTA and Drumheller Tourism will make a video and promote this trail. Last but not least, the Econo Lodge, which you know, I believe it's on 2nd Street, and it has Ricky's restaurant in there. That has been purchased by the Days Inn owner. Anyway, that's all for me.
Questions for Ellen? Any other, Anne-Marie?
I just have a question about the name. Is it still NRTA, or do you call it Brooks Tourism Region?
Yes, it's supposed to be Brooks Region Tourism, which is the name of the website right now. But at this point, they have still the name NRTA for different reasons. I think it is a matter of money as well. It would cost us a bit. But yeah, it is a little confusing, I'll have to add. But I think the board has decided it's going to be Brooks Region Tourism, but it's still managed under the NRTA.
Kelly?
So I have to ask Ellen, what was the reason swapping Brooks for the name Newell?
Very good question, Kelly. We had a special board set up, what was it, last year or the year before? I guess this was before the COVID crisis. And Brooks has set up, they're going now by Brooks Region, and they wanted the NRTA to come on board that way. They felt like Brooks was a name that was way more recognized. My personal suggestion was Brooks Newell Tourism. However, the majority of the board voted in favor of Brooks Region. I felt like the Newell word should really be in it, i.e. because of the lake, obviously, Lake Newell Resort. But I didn't get my way, so this is how it is.
And the Brooks, when Newell Regional Economic Development Initiative changed over and Joint Services was involved and Brooks started to put their money in, the same decision was made. But for all of you who worry about that, just remember where all the tourism spots really are. They're around Brooks. They're not in Brooks. So if it makes you feel any better, folks, it's about where you go online to look for things. And you know, if Brooks obviously is going to be more well-known than County of Newell. That's just the way it is with all of our rural areas, I think. The urbans are the focus. Ellen?
Very well said, Molly. And that was one of my, another main reason why I thought the word Newell should be in there. And because, you know, from what I know about this, which is not necessarily a lot, but let's say if you Google Brooks, or if you Googled Newell, then that would have been both in the front line from what I consider. And so I thought Newell could have still be in it. So if you Google Brooks, then Newell would have come up as well. And I thought because we have all these wonderful attractions in the County of Newell, that that word really should have been in it. And the ad hoc committee, should we say, initially felt that way as well. But somehow or another, it fell through.
Yeah, and the marketing people are the ones that come up with these ideas, and you pay them to take a look at it and yeah, accept the results. Nothing will change really, but yeah. Anyhow, any other reports? It's noon. I'm just going to add a couple of things to what I already talked about with the ASB conversation that we had with the hour-long town hall. Obviously, they are hoping that by September, the town hall would be able to be in person rather than a Zoom meeting. Sometimes I hear that we worry about, particularly because of our experience with the Hort Station, that research is becoming something that the government doesn't feel is important, but there is something that goes under the name RDAR, which stands for Results Driven Agricultural Research, and it was created in March 2020 by the government, the Alberta government, to turn over decision making on agricultural research to Alberta producers. So that is a board or a function that's good to know about. They were given $2 million for 2 years to look at research and focus study with a bunch of ag groups. And John Knapp is a name that I remember through my years on being involved in council, and he was part of the Ag and Forestry Department for years with the province, and he is heavily involved in this. So I think there is some good research probably happening that we're not really that aware of just yet. There's, I think, 14 extension groups involved with this RDAR research, and one of their goals is trying to figure out what ag will look like in 50 years, trying to take it forward in their minds. Apparently there is a interesting little, I think it's called The Biggest Little Farm. It's a Ducks Unlimited video that it says should be promoted for the importance of wetlands and stewardship. And the promotion of stewardship in Alberta and the fact that we actually do it, because a lot of the narrative sometimes around Alberta is that all we worry about is digging up oil and selling gas and things like that. But there's really sort of a push to come up with a narrative for Alberta as to all the positive and forward-thinking things that we do, including things like, you know, the conversation around greenhouse gases and yeah, the climate and environmental stewardship. And right now everything's being looked at, all the standard operating procedures and everything that can be sort of put into a basket to show the world that Alberta really is a forward-thinking province, and agriculture is a huge part of those promotions, because agriculture is our our oldest industry and a very important one. So, yeah, it's just interesting. People think that we need a climate profile, needs to be discussed, and it needs to be nailed down by all the government departments so that it's sort of a common thing that we work on. I thought that was interesting. And the government people say they do want to address things like abandoned wells and weeds that are uncontrolled on oil and gas sites. They said they do listen to us. They have heard us. Of course, there's never any money to move a lot of this stuff forward. And they said they're not in reduction mode, just that there's funding pressure on all the government departments, which I think we are all aware of. So, okay, no other reports. So we can take a break for lunch, and that will bring us back to our, you know what, I'm just going to finish off one item here. It's request for letter of support from the Brooks and District Museum. It's just for a grant that they're applying for to use their green space as an outdoor area where people can gather and have conversations. And it's, yeah, for some tables and a sea can, I think, to look after some of their stuff so that it doesn't get stolen if they get the money to buy it. So we have a letter of support ready to go for that. That, of course, all of these groups that work hard with volunteers are always last minuting it, and I know they need it this afternoon. So I would like to have someone make a motion for this letter of support. Hubie, we'll move it. All in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried. And so we will reconvene for 1 o'clock, and that will be moving us into camera, I think. Is that? We have some post-agenda items. All right, shall we start again at about 1:45? Will that work? 12:45, guys? Yes? Seeing the heads going. Okay, 12:45, we'll finish off the regular part of our meeting and get into the in-camera part. Thanks, everybody.